Hello everyone and welcome back to the World Championship Series Premier League for StarCraft II. We're currently in the round of 32 in Group D and we've seen a lot of action take place so far. One player has already qualified in Invasion Esports' Hearthstone and one player unfortunately eliminated in NXE. I guess these two results so far are what we've been predicting, with Hearthstone being the favorite.
Yeah, I played a lot better than I expected overall. It's going to be a really tough match for Lebo, but the dream's alive. The American dream's alive.
Of course, Hearthstone in his winner's interview expressed how ecstatic he is to be able to make it to the Season 2 finals in Toronto. Make sure you guys check out the website on how to get tickets, as those are still on sale. So make sure to check that out because it is going to be absolutely fantastic. And Huck and Kane have both assured us many a time that they will sign anything.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you're cuter, maybe come to me. Kane, I don't really care, but yeah, we'll sign anything. And I mean, if you want to smell what Hearthstone is cooking, I've been definitely hyping him up a lot, and I think he's going to bring the pain in Toronto. So definitely come check it out, Protoss Power and everything.
Well, we have one final match in Group D left, Huck. I am so excited for this. It'll be Xenocider versus IA. Now, Xenocider, in his earlier, when we spoke to him in his winner's interview, he spoke about how he's been dealing with some personal issues because his grandfather, unfortunately, recently passed away. And because of that, he hasn't been able to practice as much as he might have wanted to. But despite that, he sounded very confident, and he said that he would crush IA in this rematch. What do you think, Huck?
I mean, I hope so. Bible thump and everything, man. I'm cheering for my little man here. He's getting into it. Look at him. He's rocking on. Here we go.
He's going for the Hearthstone tactic of just jamming out to that rap music.
It's probably like, oh, ooh, Miley Cyrus in the USA or something, right?
Yeah, it seems that way. It'd be perfect for the lone American representative. And he'll be going up against IA, who is honestly looking a bit shaken after his loss to Hearthstone. It's the first time all day that he's been faced, because up until now, he's looked very confident and calm.
Literally, I see that chair shaking a little bit. He does look shaky. He's been rattled a little bit, and I think Xenocider's confidence might play into that a little bit as well. It's going to be really hard. I think, to be honest, IA is the slight favorite still, but I don't know. I just gotta believe, man. I gotta cheer for the underdog here.
So you're saying that you think that Xenocider will make it out?
Yes, that I'll commit to it. I commit. Come on, Lebo. Come on, little Lebo, for Grandpa. You can do it, man.
Well, I'm just personally hoping for really good games, as IA has shown us really great gameplay, especially in his second run in Premier League and WCS Season 2. So I'm really excited for this series. I hope you guys are at home as well. Let's get this game started with Nathanius and Kane.
Thanks very much, Smix and Huck. Kane, it's happening again. We've got the same matchup, the same two players, but the stakes have been raised. This is it. This is the final opportunity either of these players will get to go play in front of that awesome crowd in Toronto. And I'm sure you guys would even sign stuff for them too. They
we'll sign anything.
Yeah, before they want to compete. This is their last chance to make it through. If they lose here, they're done all the way until Season 3 starts, and they've got a lot of time to basically think to themselves like, well, how do I recover from this? Both players making that Premier League debut for this year. You're looking at a situation where neither of these guys are favorites to go to BlizzCon, but there's still a lot of money on the line, a lot of prestige for building up their careers.
Well, yeah, you have IA, who really on an international stage, he hasn't done maybe as much as he's wanted up to this point. And then you have Xenocider, who, kind of in the same position. He hasn't gotten those results that he might be capable of.
Yeah.
So I think both of these guys are really hungry for this win. They're really wanting to get those WCS points, that money. They're really wanting to perform to the best of their ability.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The map order for this series, we start off on Expedition Lost. Zaterran, I don't know what to say, Kane.
I know exactly what to say. You know what? I talked to Lebo this morning, and he was saying that in the first series of the day versus IA, he's going to play very standard. That's what he did. He played 3CC into Barracks. He just played very, very standard. But who knows? He might have something prepared. He might play standard again.
Me. If there's one reason why I love talking to Xenocider and talking strategy with him, is because we both like to do some stuff out of left field, and he has brought mostly very standard build orders to the table today in Terran against Zerg. But since he's playing against the same guy, he can try to make that play off of what IA has seen and what he could expect. So I'm very excited to see Xenocider either come with a renewed confidence, like he said he had, that he can actually win a rematch against IA, or just bust something out. You know, this song, he's getting the energy, he's getting his mojo going, he's getting ready to rock and roll.
Do you think he's listening to music or just singing to himself?
that would be even more interesting, to be perfectly honest.
I can see Levo singing to himself. I do that sometimes, actually.
Maybe. I think he probably just like asked Hearthstone whatever playlist he had to make that comeback after losing the first map against IA. He probably just like asked Hearthstone, he's like, can you just send me a link to whatever playlist, listen to the same thing, tell me the song order.
Nicki Minaj, Justin Bieber, and One Direction.
I don't know if that's Lebo music. Maybe he's...
Oh, he's definitely... Look at him.
Oh, he's jamming out.
He's happy. He's comfortable now. He's gotten in his comfort zone. He's singing a little song, doing a little dance.
Yeah. He would love to get down with a round of 16 advancement, for sure.
I'm sure he would.
We are loading into the first map. Ladies and gentlemen, get your tweets out there. Hashtag WCS. Let everyone know you're watching the American Hope at this point for the U.S. going up against one of the last Chinese players in the round of 32. You're watching the World Championship Series, and we're ready to see the last player to make it out of Group D. We're loaded in the bottom left position. The blue Terran player representing the U.S. of A. and Evil Geniuses, he is Xenocider.
USA.
And his opponent, representing China and Invictus Gaming in the Northeast, the Zerg player, he is IA. Kane, you said special.
Yeah.
He built his supply depot a bit earlier than usual.
Oh, definitely a bit earlier.
I think he has a few less SCVs than usual.
Look where IA's Overlord is heading. He's going to see this SCV that's moving out. He's absolutely going to see this, and right away.
Oh boy.
Yep, he sees it, and he knows exactly what's coming.
Now the SCV probably saw the Overlord, right? Or he should have. You think?
I think so. Yeah, but
he immediately sends the drone.
Was he paying attention though? Because the drone is going to go down there.
Oh boy.
And he's going to cancel that barracks if Xeno even thinks about starting it.
If he tries to build a barracks there, he will sorely regret it.
Yep. And I don't think he will.
I think he realized that he got spotted.
Yeah.
It's just a very smart play to not build the barracks there. He's got to just, I guess, follow this up with... he's taken an economic hit, obviously, from cutting the workers to get that fast depot. It seemed like one of those very fast proxy barracks plays. At the very least, IA actually going pull first, I think, helps Xenocider in this situation. Unless Xeno goes for command center first on low ground with no wall, then it could double backfire in a really weird way.
Yeah.
But already this game starting off interestingly.
Yeah. And you know what? I feel like Xeno might be a little bit mentally thrown off here. I mean, he had a build order planned. He definitely had that planned. I spoke to him, and just the SUV being sent out, but...
This is really good, though. Building the command center on the high ground by paying attention to that spawning pool timing, he recognizes that he can still go CC first. And in a weird, roundabout way, this is actually not all that terrible for Xenocider because this hatchery is actually incredibly delayed.
Right, yes. As long as Xeno does get a barracks pretty soon...
Yeah, as long as he can block the wall off and not take damage. One of the things about this map, like if you look at the way this barracks is laid out, the command center is laid out based on the way the ramp is placed, there's a lot more surface area that you can hit on this command center. Like for example, if this was, we go back in time, Cloud Kingdom, you can usually have only like a few space, like 3 Zerglings to hit. If he were to send 6 Lings over, he could get a good wraparound on it, but he only made 2, so not actually a factor. He has nothing to worry about.
Xeno's barracks is quite late. That early SCV did eat up a lot of minerals because it could have been mining, but he sent it out and didn't get anything done with it, really. And
nice that, at least he didn't lose it. When you're in a weird situation like this, every worker is very significant. That saturation matters a lot. And this Zergling's gonna try the ramp, but he can't slip through. Nope. It's just barely tight. Oh, no, he can. Well, the deceiving wall of sorts. Well, one Zergling, is
not a big deal. But imagine if that had been 6 Zerglings. That would have been terrible.
That's like a game-winning move right there, because 2 of these SCVs are actually already a little bit nibbled on. He's actually using his resources to repair SCVs. He knows that any worker he loses in this position is pretty bad. But with how fast he'll have access to double mule, since, even though he got the early queen, like, I feel like IA loses out on the inject timing if he had that hatchery much earlier.
He does, but you know what? I still feel like mentally IA is in a great position. I mean, he defended the quote-unquote early rush, and right now Xeno, you can tell even that wall, which wasn't a full wall, he's a little bit thrown off right now.
I mean, he probably doesn't get into that position too many times.
Exactly.
The Overlord movement of IA seemed to be in anticipation of some form of aggression because, I mean, let's be honest, IA absolutely dominated Xenocider in that standard macro game series that we saw at the beginning of the day. So, realistically, as a Zerg player, Kane, you could probably attest to this, like, you must just be worried about early aggression, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're comfortable in that macro game, if you're comfortable in the long, drawn-out game where there's lots of decision-making, you want to defend any early aggression that might prevent you from getting to that stage in the game.
Yeah. All right, so Xenocider refuses to take this game into a normal direction. He's actually getting that fast starport, but also a Widow Mine.
Yeah, this is a bit strange.
Well, if there's one thing, like, Tom, I feel like that I'm so glad I have you here. I can just ask you, as a Zerg, would you expect this at all?
Not really, and I don't know why Xeno is really doing this. It could be, like, he has it rallied to the front of his base. It could be just in case of an early roach rush or something like that. But this delays your Hellion so much. IA's creep threat is going to be so good.
No reactor.
Yeah.
Second mine.
And he's going to be able to get that third base for free. His creep threat is going to be so good. Everything about this game just, I don't know, Xeno just feels really off this game.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot, to skip the 2 SCVs to get that depot out, but I'm really getting the feeling it's going to be a mine drop. At least he can follow up with a Viking, but you made a really good point in the lack of that reactor just makes it so difficult to actually get a lot of stuff out onto the map.
Yes, and the biggest thing here is the Hellions are not there. Like, IA is going to get really good creep spread on this map, and this map, there's so many avenues of attack that he can counterattack. His Zerglings are faster on that creep. They can get around the map much easier.
IA starts up a Spire. He recognizes that this setup could be something very weird. I guess he's kind of staying safe against everything because we've seen the leaning on the Roach play, right? And to some extent, at least in the first game that they played earlier today. But going for the Spire like this, I guess it works out because he still likes Roaches anyway. Otherwise, I would say normally this is like an anti-mech build.
Yeah, and actually, IA did see that drop coming with the Zergling on Xeno side of the map, so he knows this is coming.
And he has the Overseer too, so the Widow Mine's actually getting to burrow and get big hits. It seems
very unlikely.
Unlikely. As Overseer in each base.
Yes, very smart. IA knows what is coming. Like, he was so prepared for this. Xeno's just getting shut down at every opportunity.
There is one thing that Xenocider can try to lean on, and that is going to be the double engineering bay. He can be slightly ahead in upgrades, but realistically speaking, actually getting a supply advantage, like we talk about Expedition Lost, as a Terran player, taking that third base is just really difficult.
And IA's trying to trigger that Widow Mine. He's not having a lot of success right now, but he's actually finding a lot of trouble with this Widow Mine
It's like
here.
trying to bait it, but it can't kill a Roach, right? Just...
Oh, and it actually killed the drone anyway.
He baited the drone into it.
Definitely a small mistake. I mean, not game-ending by any means, but
just comical. That's all.
It was a little funny.
Yeah, nothing super bad going on here. Keeps the medevac alive though, which is nice. But 7 Mutalisks are on the way. The movement into the barracks before the E-base though, he's got a reasonable amount of production, and he's already going up to 5 barracks. So Xenocider has recovered as far as his infrastructure goes, and with the upgrades, I still don't dislike his position. Since this is the kind of army composition that can actually, once he gets a good amount, fight against this with relative ease. At some point or another, we're going to actually need to see that Zergling speed and the Baneling speed. Like, I don't think he's going to win with Mass Roach Muta against full-fledged bio.
No, this is almost like an anti-mech build. Like, IA went into 2-base Muta, almost 2-base Muta, it was 3-base, but 2-base economy, and then he went straight into 1-1 Roach upgrades, which is really good against mech, but we do see bio play out of Xeno. I wonder if IA would cancel that range upgrade. I don't think so, though. He's already making so many Roaches.
Yeah, to me, I see this as Xenociders needs to take this third base. Like, he has to force a way to get this third, because as soon as IA starts to benefit off of that 3-base economy and having the saturation spread out on 3 bases, he will have enough to prevent Xeno from ever moving out on 2 bases, especially with this Hydralist end coming in. It looks like he's just going to go actual straight-up Roach Hydra this game.
This is so interesting. I think it'll be a 1-1 Roach Hydra timing, actually. If he waited for 2-2, that would be way too long. It almost certainly is going to be a timing of some sort. We'll just have to see how this plays out.
Yeah, it's a very dicey spot to be in. Xenocider has that 3rd command center at the 3rd location. He just needs to plan it, lock it down, and try to do something with the money he gets from that 3rd as soon as humanly possible, because when you're in a situation where you're playing versus a lot of Roaches, the upgrades are super nice, because most of the time the player that opens up with fast Roaches has the upgrade advantage. But I'm mostly concerned about him keeping and holding this 3rd base. I think a big Roach Hydra push, as you said, would be devastating.
Yeah, and with these Mutas coming in here, he's going to try to get some damage. focusing down that extractor and killing the SCVs, mining it. Very nice play. Just finding any damage that he can, getting ready for that push to make it stronger.
And considering that he has supply dedicated to defending against mutas with those Widow Mines spaced around his main, the fact that none of them could even get a hit, it's like, well, maybe I would rather have this supply out on the map, you know, trying to actually kill this standing army. And
now, what's interesting is that Xeno just saw that the Zergling that he killed was slow. So he might, if he's really thinking about the game, he might realize that it's going to be a Roach push or Roach Hydra or something.
Yeah, he starts a tank.
Yeah, which is very smart.
Yeah, having a mobile Bioforce on the map is nice, but Bio doesn't really beat Roach Hydra straight up until you're at like max supply. Then Bio can roll it, but it's still very difficult. This Roach Hydra push is coming. He's going to try to break the rocks to buy himself time. He does. Blocks on some of the Hydras. But there's still a lot of roaches coming through, so he's trying to fight all the roaches away from the Hydras. Most of the DPS in this army isn't here, but he pulls SCVs. He's taken an incredible amount of damage so far, and the Widow Mine, you know, not going to be the saving grace in this scenario.
And the mutas weren't even fighting. I mean,
no
IA
third
is
now.
so far ahead in supply right now. And you're right, no third, which means IA has a big economy lead.
Xenocider doesn't have the income now. He doesn't have the income to actually build an army big enough to stop this. Like, IA is going to push up the ramp. The roaches are going to come. He knocks down that first bunker. The SCVs are trying to repair, but what is realistically shooting right now? He's got a Marauder in one, a Marine with it, and another Marauder in the other. But as soon as these guys step forward, the Hydras immediately start to just destroy them. Xenocider doing everything in his power to hang in there. But, I mean, IA with 3-base economy, he has access to so many resources. Killing this really shouldn't be that much of a problem.
Yeah, absolutely not. And on the other side, there's 7 Marines at that third base, and the drones are taking care of that pretty good, actually. And meanwhile, I mean, the natural Xeno is just getting ransacked here.
Yeah, he has absolutely no income left. He scans looking for a 4th base. GG's out. IA takes the first game here in our final match of the night in the World Championship Series. Let's just cut down to brass tacks. Xenocider sent out an early SCV. He cut 2 workers to get his first supply depot at 8 supply. It looks like a proxy Reaper play, but the SCV immediately gets seen by the Overlord. That's, you know, you said it's like a mentally crippling thing as a Terran player. I mean, I don't personally cheese too much, but, you know, you can't force something like that, because if he sends that drone down, which he did, and the SCV starts barracks, the drone kills the SCV, it's over.
Right,
you know, there's nothing that you can do in that position.
And I think the reason Xeno didn't veto that map, which is very common to veto for Zergs, he was going to build a barracks on the low ground for an 8-Rax Reaper and lift it into the main base of IA and build Reapers out of there. That was his whole game plan. But when that gets shut down so easily, I mean, your entire game plan has changed, right?
Well,
you're not prepared.
Everything is slowed down. And IA is just like, okay, well, I'm going to play this style. This is a map where this is one, like most of the time Terran players are like, okay, I can take third bases on maps like this, but in this position, the Zerg loves this. All they have to do is slow down the taking of that third base with the Roaches, with the mutas, keep the Terran running around. The Terran doesn't have a third base, the Roach Hydra push max out is borderline unstoppable. It's not like an Imba thing, but that's how the strategy is designed to work, is you delay the third with the 1-1, and then just kill them with the Hydras because they don't have the money to build enough bio.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that map, like, the natural and third are so close together that you can kind of get in between each expansion and just camp that space. And they can never take a third, like you're saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, out of the way that he set that up, like the next map is Echo. What does Xenocider need to do on this map? Like, can that Roach Hydra play work out the same way? Or was that game just like absolutely nuts because of the start?
I think that Xeno just needs to go back to his roots now. Maybe he will play a bit more standard, but I don't think that he should cheese again. I mean,
cheesing down 0-1.
Yeah, that's always a little dangerous to do. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to do something like that, and it could work out very well. But I would prefer to see him play a standard macro game, even probably not mech, but just a normal 3cc bio play.
I mean, we think about Terran players that had struggles playing bio. The second series, they come back with mech after down 0-1.
Yes, it's true. It could happen. I'm kind of leaning towards...
almost want to see it just because it would be too fitting. But I personally haven't seen Xeno play all that much mech. Like in the games that I watch him play, he likes the bio play.
And when you come to a big tournament like this where there's so much on the line, you don't want to just improvise things.
Not the place to be like, yeah, I'm just going to do anything. You know?
Maybe I'll try this today. No, you got to practice and you got to play those prepared builds that you've really been working on.
Yeah, it's a big moment here for Xenocider and IA as well, as this is his chance now if he wins this map to move on to the round of 16 to play in Toronto next month in front of an awesome crowd at an awesome venue
with awesome people.
Yeah, for an awesome weekend of StarCraft action. It's going to be really amazing. Only one of these two players may advance, though, and we are loaded in. This could potentially be the last map. The last map of the night. The deciding map for this man to move on to the round of 16. In the top left position of Echo, the Red Zerg player. He's Invictus Gaming's IA. And his opponent, spawning in the southeast position, needs to win the next 2 maps to keep the American dream alive. He's Xenocider.
I really want to see a third game, Nathan.
Yeah,
I think that'd be really, really cool.
After the way that Xenocider talked about winning that lower bracket match and feeling a renewed confidence, feeling like he knows he can do it. That's all I want, man.
Yep.
Just to get that third game, get that big grind out TvZ where we see the back and forth engagements and really get a big sense of the overall play styles and how these guys can really run into the late game. But IA has been met without too much resistance. He handled Xenocider's standard builds very well. And Xenocider, even in this game, he's not going for a cheese, but he's still not opening up without 11 supply barracks. It looks like he just wants to go command center first.
It will be a CC first, and I expect it to be on the low ground. I mean, there's no reason for IA to cheese here.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's beaten him standard every single game. There is absolutely no reason he would go a 9 pool or 10 pool.
Yeah, and he's not. It makes sense. So Xenocider choosing now, he says, okay, well, cheesing you doesn't seem like it's going to work. The Reaper play hasn't really gotten me any advantages whatsoever. I'm going to try to play off of this. I'm going to try to play off of this command center first, get a bit of a faster start to the game. And personally, when you see setups, when you look at the way that like Terran Bio plays out versus Roach Hydra, at least in my experiences, and you can tell me if you agree, when you're playing versus it, like getting a better economic start, I feel helps more because you have a little bit more to defend like an early Roach push and then take that third, and that's what allows you to defend like a follow-up attack. But I guess it doesn't have to be that. That's the tricky part because IA also played really good Lingbane Muta earlier on.
Yeah, it's very interesting how these... I mean, Roach Hydra is such a weird composition because it's one big timing and then that's pretty much it.
And then it falls off.
Yeah,
like,
if the first timing doesn't work, what do you have, right?
Yeah.
So you really, as a Terran, you really need that early economy to build up. You need a lot of units, and you need to defend that push, maybe bunkers, siege tanks, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like, from my experiences, it seems like Zerg players, if the Terran gets aggressive, they actually slow themselves down too much to usually defend it, unless they deal, like, a lot of damage with, like, Hellion Rabais or Banshees. So it's just one of those super volatile scenarios. And the fact that IA shows that... Because he's shown like we said, the standard Lingbane Muta that he played earlier today. He's shown the mass Roach all-in without, anything else. He already showed the Roach Hydra. Like, whoa, he can do pretty much anything. It's very scary.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I mean, since IA has beaten Xeno in standard games, with that second Overlord, he's scouting around for any 2 racks that might pop up. He's very confident right now, I think. And he is going gasless because he does see that CC first. So as soon as you see that, you realize that you don't really need speed to defend early Hellions or anything like that, so you can cancel that gas and go into a very economically heavy play.
Yeah, very, very curious as to whether Xenocider is going to try to make another fast starport play. Will he go for something like defensive Banshees? He's getting a pretty quick bunker, so this is most interesting to me because we didn't really see an early link commitment even from the fast pool last game, but he doesn't want to take that chance. I think Xenocider says to himself, the last thing that I want to do is lose this game because I cut a corner. The command center first, I already blindly took a risk against fast pool, and I got away with it. So let's not take too many more chances in this series and just try to play off of the edge I've given myself from the opening.
Yes, and I really wouldn't like to see any cheese or aggression out of IA. I just want to see completely standard play, defensive play, spread that creep, get those drones out, and just play as normal as you can.
I mean, he opened gasless again. Do you think he's just going to, take the gases at 5 minutes or 5 minutes?
5:10 is very normal, 5:20 is normal. It is going to be 5:10 here.
So what do you think he goes into from this? Roaches? This Overlord kill is pretty nice, by the way, too, for Xenocider. He denies a main base scout by the Overlord.
Yeah, except those Zerglings do see the front, but they don't see any starport or anything like that, so...
I mean, not knowing if there's a second gas in the Terran main, I feel like that's a pretty big deal.
That is definitely a big deal, and he's probably going to want to send that second Overlord in that is behind the mineral line right now.
Yeah.
And see if, you know, there's a starport or a third CC or something.
He doesn't know
like
about the third command center either. Like,
yeah.
I guess it's something that I don't think about as much as a Terran, because usually the Overlords, like, it's a bit hard to get those snipes off. But this potentially gives Xenocider an edge, and like IA. Like, do you feel as a Zerg player with this little information, can he cut corners?
So what you often look for is the add-ons. I mean, the barracks right now has a tech lab add-on, and factory has a reactor add-on. Since they're usually you'd switch add-ons between the barracks and starport, so I don't think IA is very worried about any Banshee play or anything like that. And that second Overlord is in position right now to send into the main base and see these building barracks right now. And that the timing of those will indicate a third base from Xeno.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If the barracks has a tech lab on it, you know, the only thing that you'd really be worried about is 2 extra barracks hidden in the main base somewhere. If it was like some sort of crazy Marine Marauder push, but that's not really a common build, at least in tournament play these days.
Yeah, not very common.
So third command center finishes up. Melee upgrades start for IA. Xenocider is getting his barracks situated. He's getting his second and third barracks before engineering base. I think actually right now, anytime soon, be a good time to start his E-base. He gets a starport before his E-base.
I don't think that's very normal in CVT, is it?
It feels like he's delayed it a little bit. It's not a huge deal, but IA, once again, from the way he set himself up, is going to have that marginal advantage as far as his 1-1 will, I mean, it's on the way, so it's guaranteed to be finished significantly ahead since Xenocider hasn't even started his yet.
Right, and I love what IA is doing. He's just playing so standard, so normally. Like, everything about his play just says that he is confident against Xeno in the long game. He's trying to trap these Hellions, and I actually guessed him, so now he can spread creep for free, which is really nice. Yeah,
well, I mean, Xenocider, to be fair, didn't really build a lot of Hellions, but you kind of, that map control, I guess because IA hasn't really also opted for fast Baneling nests, he's probably not worried about a Ling Bane bust. You know, if it was going to be a bust, it would probably be Roaches when you think about it.
And what cutting on Hellions really enables Xeno to do is get those barracks up earlier. Normally you'd see 2 medevacs come around 10, 10:30, but we're actually going to have these finish right around 9 minutes, 9:15 around there.
Yeah, so the drops can actually hit just before 10 minutes if you were to go straight across, as opposed to the we saw like about 11 minutes in his series earlier today in TvZ.
And IA is opting for, actually I think it's going to be a big 1-1 Baneling bust, because he's not opting for that 5th and 6th gas on the third base.
Yeah, so without taking the gases, that third is, like, it's okay, he's mining off of it, but it's also a really big macro hatch as well to just flood out Lings.
He also, I mean, he sees the third CC
He
now.
does start Baneling speed, though. Like, is he going to try to bust and then follow up? I don't know.
I think because he didn't see the third CC, he was very worried about a timing attack off of 2 bases from Xeno.
Well, he sees a third command center now. Maybe if he defends, he can go for a massive counter push.
Perhaps, yeah. And these Banelings are getting cancelled. Very good target fire from Xeno there.
Ooh, yeah, I do like that quite a bit. And he just boosts up, loads everything. He's going to run over to the main base. You know what we don't have on the map? Aspire.
Yeah, but very good splitting of the Zerglings from IA, so he has some at the main base and some at the third base.
Yeah, jumping between won't be as easy as it was against NXZ for sure.
Yeah, very, very good play from IA right now. And
Aspire
he's just playing safe.
Aspire just starts though. Like, what does he do to defend the drops right now? He just kind of has to keep microing, right?
Yeah, and make sure to target those medevacs with the queens whenever you get the opportunity, or else they'll target the marines, and the medevacs will live kind of forever.
Yeah, killing the medevacs would you say that that's the most one of the most important things to do in this stage? Like, if he kills the medevacs, like, how does Xeno get aggressive?
Exactly. I mean, targeting those medevacs is definitely number 1 priority. And I mean, he'll want to get a 4th base soon as well. His 2-2 started, his Overlord speed has started, Baneling speed is just finishing up. He just played so safe in the early game, and his 4th base is a bit delayed because of it.
Yeah, I mean, Xeno built his armory, but he's only just now starting 2-2, so still IA holds a comfortable advantage in terms of when those upgrades will finish. But now he has a small period where they're both on 1-1, so taking the trades isn't as tough. He has those forces on the left side, so he's baiting out a lot of these links. And there's so many forces here, like fighting with just 2 medevac pushes isn't really going to cut it against this army.
Yeah, and these mutas are so late that he can kind of go back and forth between bases like this. And there's actually a Widowmine drop at the northeast corner of the map. It's going to be sent into the natural.
4 mines.
Yeah, there's no spores or anything there, so he might get a lot of drones.
And he's spreading out some Overlords, so, I mean, if he's looking at his mini-map, which he seems to have been doing this series, I think he should see that it's coming. He should recognize it at least. I mean, he's pulling the Lings and Banelings every which way, but there's just so many of them that he can handle it.
Yeah, I really want to see a 4th base come up from IA, and he is going to plant that very soon.
I agree there. I think the 4th base is actually still going to be like a really weird thing right now because both players are on 3 bases. So even if Xeno's not doing a crazy amount of damage, if there's no 4th from the Zerg, then as a Terran, there's not too much pressure to make something happen. You're just trying to whittle away at creep so that that 4th doesn't become easy to take.
Yeah, and so what's going on here is Xeno's actually ahead in economy, but he needs to be very careful about moving it on the map. The 2-2 upgrades are finishing up for IA here, so he doesn't want to get caught like in that Vanny game. He doesn't want to move out too soon. And I'm a little bit worried that he might because...
Yeah, he didn't actually have a turret here. The Mutas are balling themselves up. He wanted to wait for the last one, but that could actually end up allowing him to have time to finish that turret. It's getting closer and closer.
I think he will kill it in time, though. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, okay, so he tries to finish it, killed just the nick of time. And SCVs are going to start to fall. There's not that much bio here. Xenocider's main force is out on the map.
And this is
he's
so
waiting
annoying
for another round of Marines.
This is so annoying for Terran 2.
Oh boy, he's trying to get an engagement here against these Lings. The Lings set up to bait the mine shots. There's still all of the Banelings behind this. He's going to come in and just try to fight against this. Okay, Mines actually get some pretty reasonable detonations. He's fighting off creep, so Xenocider gets probably his first decent trade in an engagement against IA at the same time. He gets the Mines into the natural mineral line, killing a good couple of drones. Just 4 so far. The rest of the Mines are going to burrow. He pulls the drones away, but at least kills some of the Zerglings for his time. And leaving the Marauders up front, he's fighting again against these Banelings in the northeast.
Very good multi-attack.
Oh, the Mines hit the Mutalisks as well. There's very few Banelings left. He's going to lift up and boost away. I guess there was another wave of Banelings coming. Like, IA has done a really good job of keeping a lot of units on the map, but Xenocider holds a supply lead. And he's, I mean, that 4th base, is it done? Yes, but without drones on it, like, what does IA really do with this? Another nice mine shot. 5 more drones taken down.
Really, really nice play from Xeno so far. He's really bringing it back in this game. I'm impressed.
Yeah, he's starting to get some momentum.
Yeah, and he's even, IA's respreading the creep that Xeno killed at the 4th, which is very, very good. A lot of Zerg players will neglect to do that, and the Mute is trying to get some damage done here in this natural, but not really finding anything.
Yeah, I mean, Xenocider, now they're both on 2-2. You know, keep in mind that IA had it so much earlier, but now he has a 3-3 on the way. There is no Infestation Pit, there's no Hive on the way, that means no 3-3. So if Xenocider can continue to grind it out like this, I mean, he could potentially end the game before he even hits 3-3.
For
but
sure.
if he maintains his lead and then 3-3 finishes, I mean, he's just going to be like a wrecking ball.
He's golden, absolutely. And yeah, Xeno's sending a dropout. He's going to probably push up the middle at the same time. He's going to want to start a 4th base relatively soon, though.
Yeah, I think for Xenocider, yeah, he didn't Drilling Claws too, so it doesn't seem like he's going to try to make a big push soon. Like, waiting for 3-3 is okay. I personally would love to see a 4th command center. I like to get a little bit earlier, but Xenocider has been really putting on the aggression with his play style, which I think is acceptable because he's done a lot of damage.
Yes, and the 4th CC is started now. Xeno is going to clear some creep up on the left side of the map here, while the drop goes into the natural base.
Yeah, so
there is a Spore Crawler fit.
This is where he really tries to pull him apart, distract him, you know, get his attention in several places. Xenocider is maxed out. He's almost at 3-3, and this is big counterattack. He scans. He recognizes that there's some forces moving out of the way, so he can't just catch him and try to run on top and like force him to just run home like some quasi-base trades. Like, no, he is going to force a fight on his terms, and with the Widow Mine spread out and all the Marauders up front, Xenocider's looking for a big fight. Marines are all off creep. The Banelings try to chase off, but the spread is good enough. He has a ton of bio left over, 187 supply. He's got that drop at the 3rd base. All of the drones have been evacuated. He's pulling all of his Lings, all of his Mutalisks, and there's just some Lings and Banelings to defend the 4th. If he kills this, he's in it. They're all morphing Banelings. There's actually nothing here to fight.
And 3-3 is finishing up too. Once that finishes, it's going to be so hard for IA to take a good engage.
Yeah, this is really dicey. I mean, when these Banelings are going to finish, there's a crazy amount of them, but with the Thors and the Marauders up front, the Marines pulled all the way back off of creep. The Banelings are just dying.
And he's pre-split, so the Banelings really don't do that much.
Yeah, he's manually selecting only his Marines. He picks them up. He's like, yep, I'm just going to run away. Let the Marauders keep shooting. Now it's only Zerglings left. He can jot the Marines, go right back to work, start hacking and whacking his way over to that 4th base. And I think even if he doesn't win with this push, the follow-up attack he's going to have set up is so nice. Like, IA has a lot of resources. He needs to just turn all of his Zerglings into Banelings right now, but does he even... How many Lings does he even have? Just 13.
If you look at the Queen energy, especially at the natural, it's almost at 150.
Oh,
IA's macro has
the
really...
Mule! Ooh. He's dropping some freedom bombs here,
He sure
Kane.
is.
He's going to knock down this 4th base. The reinforcement wave is enough. And he sees these Banelings like, I got to protect this Mule.
It feels like IA's macro is really being not optimal this game. And Xeno has got this in the bag, I think.
Xeno's done a really good job of pulling him apart since he started the drop play. Like,
yeah.
He took that first engagement off creep, and IA just started to just stumble and slip.
Yeah, he's falling apart a little. And I mean, there's 5 mutalisks.
like,
Those aren't going to do anything.
You look at his resource count, he doesn't have any larvae. Like, he can't actually spend his money. He has nothing to spend the money on except Banelings, and
GG.
Xenos pushed too far. He ties the series up 1-1. Xenocider is not going to go down without a fight. A phenomenal recovery after that 0-2 to start the day, after that pretty tough loss in game number 1. Xenocider brings us to the final game
This is it.
of this series.
Everything's on the line this game.
It's going to be a very, very tense moment. IA showed dominating performance over Xenocider all day long. And this is the first time Xeno has been able to answer back. We see this engagement. This just gets so good. He gets the drop. All of these Lings run over. He's got a bunch of Banelings morphing. He's able to get into a position where IA cannot fight with the full brunt of his force. And you can see where this cracks the multitasking because he's already banking money.
And look at the pre-split. I mean, Xeno's Marines, they're perfect. They're in the perfect position. These Banelings don't really do that much.
Yeah, and once he moves in, all the Marauders are shooting, right? They don't kill the Banelings fast, but they kill them quickly enough that once he actually starts to get close, like he just clicks. He's like, okay, you're gonna hit these Marines. Boom, in the medevac. Insta escape because the Mutalisks are still working on the front of the army.
Yeah, and one important thing about ZBT is you really want to build out that Mutalisk count. And that's something that IA was never really able to do that game. He kept losing some here and there, and the drops were pulling him apart. And I mean, he had 5 mutas there against how many medevacs, right?
Yeah.
You're never going to kill all of them.
That's a really important victory for Xenocider. That's got to give him a lot of confidence. He knows, like, okay, I am capable of doing this. I can make it happen. He was able to force fights on his terms, and that's the sort of victory that he needs. Game number 3, the final game of today for Group D of the World Championship Series Premier League, will be Vani Research Station. This is a map. You have those 2 bases locked down. Very easy to secure. Xenocider can freely go Command Center first again if he wants. He could go back to his Reaper build. Still very good on this map. Don't think that cheesing makes a lot of sense in this scenario. A nice little hand wave from Xeno. But
Hello, Xeno.
this is an opportunity to carry the momentum of Game 2 into a match victory. This is his chance. This is his last chance.
And I think we're going to see a lot of emotion from either one of these players if they make it on.
Yeah,
one of them will make it on.
Yeah, the struggle is real, Kane.
And Vani is a very good map for standard macro play. And I hope that's what we see from both of these guys.
Yeah, looking for one more long, drawn-out macro game to finish off the day here. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. You're watching the World Championship Series. This is it for Group D. Spawning in the top position of Vani Research Station, we have the Red Zerg player from Invictus Gaming. He's IA. His opponent, who finally, after 3 map losses in a row, takes one against his enemy, Evil Genius's Xenocider.
A lot of support for Xeno here.
Yeah.
He definitely has the home crowd advantage, I think.
I mean, we are in America, Kane.
Are we?
I think there's probably a reasonable amount of Americans that are tuning in, that are here in the crowd in Burbank.
Yeah.
I can hear some of you.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. We know you're here.
So, back into the game.
Xenocider lets that extra SCV finish. And I mean, with the patrol, maybe it's going to be a 12 barracks. Maybe he doesn't want to go 3 Reaper. I think 1 Reaper is acceptable. I wouldn't have minded seeing a command center first, but just the fact that he's open with 12 barracks, if he wanted to build multiple Reapers, I would have expected him to go for the 11 supply again.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm thinking 1 Reaper, Reactor, quicker command center. Like 2 Reaper is still okay. Like some players like Bunny will go 3 Reaper off of a 12 barracks just by like they build the 2nd Reaper after the reactor is done, or the 3rd Reaper after the reactor is done.
Sure.
But it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, and IA going for that 15 hash, so he feels quite confident that Xeno is not going to cheese this game. So I think that Xeno is just going to go for a standard macro game here, maybe back to the 3cc.
I think he's got to just play it straight up as possible. I mean, he essentially did that in the last game. Like, he made cuts in certain areas that I think catered to the way IA played. Because normally as a Terran player, when I think about TvZ, one thing I'm always afraid of when I'm playing the early game is my Hellions and Reapers. If I lose them, the number one fear is that, if they have a Baneling nest, they just build Banelings and kill you, because your barracks are like usually building while you're doing your Hellion pressure. You have like a couple of Marines, but and I'm sure you've killed Terrans that have thrown their Hellions away without killing much before. Like
All the time.
Yeah. So Xenocider recognized that we haven't seen the early Baneling nest. All of his aggression has been off of at least 2 saturated bases. So he says, "Well, I'm not worried about anything like that. and your defensive, you build 4 queens, so the Hellions won't do anything anyway.
Yeah,
so by
very
cutting the Hellions in the last game, I think it's like just a brilliant tiny decision by Xenocider to say, I can cut this against you because you built roaches and queens so much that I can't do anything with Hellions anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I really like that decision by Xeno in that last game especially. We do have a pretty late gas coming out from IA. I think it started around 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Normally you see that around 250, 240.
Okay. So what does that give him for like speed? Maybe like 630 instead of 610?
It's going to be around 645. Yeah, 640, 645, I think.
Okay. All right.
If he decides to get speed. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a roach push or something out of him.
This is one of those maps where you can use the queens to block the ramp more easily, right? So maybe Mutalisks?
It could be. I really like 2 base meter on this map.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I was gonna say that's something you see quite a bit on this map, just because it's more difficult to 4GG somebody. Just run 6 Hellions up and kill everything while there's no units.
Yeah.
The Reapers are putting on the pressure though.
Yeah, and we see 2 Reapers this time out of Xeno, so
Okay.
a little bit of a variation.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him start up a 3rd Reaper off of that barracks as he moves it off of building that reactor. But
Kind of a bunny-esque.
yeah, but just
move.
two is also okay. One of the reasons why this map allows for the single Reaper plays, I guess it's not really happening this game, but since you can't do the run by to the natural because your main wall covers your natural as well, you don't have to worry about, Ling run bys canceling your command center, which we saw yesterday.
Yeah, very true. And we do have that 3rd CC coming down from Xeno right now. And IA did scout it, so he knows everything that's going on right now from Xeno.
Yeah, okay. This is what I wanted to see. That's the 3rd Reaper. And Bunny was one of the first players that I saw do this quite a bit.
Me too.
This is like that in-between where it allows you to get your Hellions. You don't delay your Hellions with the Reaper opening this way, but you still have the nice comfort of having those 3 Reapers to just regenerate health. And by that 3rd Reaper of extra hit points, going back to repair your Hellions is never fun. So just let the Reapers, use those combat drugs.
So, IA, what is he planning to do here? I mean, he's leaving one... He actually put 3 guys back on gas. The Reaper's taking a bit of damage there, but not getting too much done. And he is going to take a 3rd base. This is kind of looking like the first game that we saw.
Yeah, this is a little bit interesting because I still feel like, okay, there's the lair. They will go for possibly that fast tech again with the Spire. But on this map, I feel like it's just so difficult to put that pressure on. I still like Xenocider because he opened 3 command centers.
Right, and he's only taking 3 gas. I mean, he shouldn't get a cancel on this 3rd base. And there is a couple transfuses. If I is paying attention, he is.
He just took the 4th gas. Does this mean anything yet?
Yes, this means Spire, for
All right.
sure.
All right.
Especially because the Roach Horn is so late that the Roach speed timing wouldn't line up with the layer. So IA is just going to be playing standard, it looks like, with a little bit earlier Mutalisk since he didn't get those double Evos.
Yeah. So the investment that would have otherwise gone into his upgrades will instead go into tech.
I think he needs to make a couple more Zerglings, though. I mean, this force is pretty scary from Xeno. He does lose 1 Reaper, but he still has a lot of firepower left, and there's only 1 transfuse left.
Yeah.
And Xeno's actually focusing the Queen with the higher energy down.
Really smart, because
Very good.
if he tries to kill either of these other queens, then the weakened one right now can just transfuse them. And very smartly, IA pulls that weakened queen back. But he also gets a Baneling Nest this time around, so not cutting the corners as hard.
Right, and we do see that Spire coming down now. Those Mutalisks are going to be quite fast, at least faster than normal.
What's the possibility here of IA just not getting evolution chambers, opening with 7 mutas, and going for a massive Ling Bane push?
I think it'd be a bit risky. I mean, it can be done, but especially on this map where it's kind of hard to bust up that main ramp, it'd be pretty hard. One queen does fall there. Very nice.
Really nice. Really nice. Yeah, I mostly ask. I know that you're a player that uses that every so often. It's,
yeah, once in a while. It was very popular in Wings of Liberty. Scarlet kind of popularized that off of 2 base muta.
Yeah, like if you soften the Terran up with the mutas, then the follow-up, just the delivering that killing blow.
That final blow, yeah.
Can be so strong. But because either way, the 1-1 is on the way for Xenocider. So at this point, I feel like for the Terran player, if I know my Zerg opponent isn't getting upgrades, it's a purely defensive game. Because you just play for your upgrades, don't take damage from the mutas, and it's really, really hard to lose an engagement in TvZ when you're ahead on upgrades, especially if they don't have late game tech like ultras.
One thing that I am worried about is if Xeno does that normal, 10-30 move out with the double Medivacs, the mutas might be out in time to deal with that. I mean, they might kill the Medivacs right away.
Because he has been loading up immediately, right? He doesn't really walk away.
He doesn't wait.
This nice little Zergling poke kills
Very
one
nice.
of the mules.
Kills a mule.
Delays mining on the other.
And we do see that double Evo coming down for IA, so it is going to be, a pretty normal game, but those upgrades are quite late.
Yeah. He does start now, the upgrades, but Xenocider will have, what does it look like, about roughly a minute advantage in terms of his 1-1, which I still think is really nice because this lines up with the Medivacs closely enough that if he's putting on pressure, using Zerglings to defend will be tough. It's all about that Mutalisk control, as you said.
Yeah, and this is what I was worried about. Xeno loaded up those 2 Medivacs, but those Mutas might see it in time, and they might
oh, man,
focus
he's got the Watchtower. He should know that they're here.
Yeah,
like,
he
he's
should.
waiting. He's waiting to catch them. Oh,
yeah.
Xeno. Ooh, very good attentiveness from Xenocider. That could have been really ugly. More concerned about him losing those Medivacs than the Marines, and the Zerglings are coming in to support this. The 1-1 isn't actually done yet, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, that did nothing, and he's going to hit both Medivacs.
Wow.
That was really, really good.
Having the Lings there, too, was so smart
Very
from
good.
IA.
And with that, he takes a large supply lead.
Yeah, that's one of those things where even though Xenocider had those upgrades to fall back on, like, he's going to have to just start his 2-2 and wait for that. Now he's definitely on the defensive. And these turrets aren't even finished yet in the natural.
And I mean, even if that one does finish, he can just go to the left side and focus some SCVs down there.
Wow. Yeah, you know, that's actually very nice for Xeno that left turret was allowed to finish, or at least wasn't sniped as quickly. The Hellions are thankfully still here to deal with these Lings over in the third base, so Xeno won't take substantial losses. Loses a handful of SCVs, but he maintains that upgrade lead. That's all he's really got right now in this game. His 2-2 is on the way.
Yeah, and I would love to see like a 1-1 Baneling push here with Baneling speed. Does he actually have Baneling speed?
Yes.
He does.
Actually,
okay, yeah, I would love to see
earlier.
that because he has weakened Xeno. He lost those 16 Marines and those 2 Medivacs. I'd love to see a big push here.
Yeah, I think it's certainly an option. I mean, you're the expert Zerg here, man. It looks like, I mean, so he can just take the 4th base. Can he still be aggressive, like, once he gets drones on the 4th?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, with these big pushes, the most important thing is how many Banelings, how many Mutalisks you have. Those are gas units.
Yeah. Oh, these Mutas are doing a lot of work on the natural, and he pulls Xenocider's forces so far back, killing the depots. He's actually supply blocked Xenocider now, so he can't even build forces. He drops a mule in the face of danger.
It does survive, but yeah. I would love to see 1-1 push here. I think
he's got a lot of Lings on the way. He's like preparing to receive some sort of weakened push, I guess. Like, this drop shouldn't be able to do anything.
And he's not starting 2-2 yet, so this really indicates to me that he wants to go for that big push.
Yeah, just accept whatever push is coming and then go for a big counter. Well, he starts 2-2 now. I guess he realized he wasn't going to actually make a big push and just that drop.
Those Mutalisks focusing down the 2 Widow Mines. Very, very good play here. He's everywhere with these Mutas, man.
These Mutas, 18 of the Mutalisks on the way. You mentioned this in the last game. He wasn't able to build up that Muta count. This time he has, and they have been instrumental. Instrumental. A ton of Zerglings floating towards Xenocider's base. Defending this is going to be very tricky. If he loses here, if he loses this fight, he could potentially lose his round of 16 hopes. Goes to pick up the rest of the Marines. The Banelings are coming in, though. He's trying to hold the top of his ramp. The depot is down. IA getting into the mineral line, getting into the production of Xeno. The Banelings hit the SCVs. Every single one dying in the third base. That bunker barely standing, but there's nothing left for that bunker to protect.
Nothing left. And Xeno scans that 4th base. He knows that he's lost at this point. There's just not enough.
There's nothing left that Xeno can do. His 2-2 so close to finishing, yet so far as the Lings flood into the natural mineral line. GG is called. Well played. IA is going to Toronto, advancing in 2nd place out of Group D here at the World Championship Series, eliminating Xenocider from Premier League.
Yeah, and you can see the disappointment in Xeno there, but very good for IA. I mean, he played well, and it really paid off for him.
Yeah, really, really strong play, really strong macro play. The way that he tailored his build in that final game to deal with Xenocider's exact, like you mentioned it at the start. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, you're like pulled some Oracle level stuff there, Kane. It's like, yeah, 10:30, the Medivacs come out, and the Mutas are going to be out just in time to swat it down.
Yeah, and one player that really popularized that is Hydra. He often goes for the, it's a 2-base lair, but he gets that earlier 3rd base. So it's not quite a 2-base Muta, but it does have that 3rd hatchery behind it.
Yeah, it's a really, really tricky thing to deal with, because you lose those 2 Medivacs as Terran. Like, you're supposed to do so much with that. A regular Zerg build where you don't have those Mutalisks to fight against, you can bounce between the bases. That's what we saw on Echo. That's what we saw when the map that Xenocider was actually able to win. And that just makes me want to give another big props to IA, because one of the really cool things that he did was even just, picking the build, because he did it against Hearthstone too, and he got that really quick, nice win, and it felt very similar to me in the 3rd and final game of this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just very solid play. And I mean, he didn't seem nervous at all. He did lose that one game versus Xeno, but overall he just played really fantastically. I'm quite genuinely impressed with his play today.
Yeah, really good build order choice. He did not play a stubborn style by any means. Let's hear what the man himself has to say. IA is with Smix.
Thank you very much, Nathanias. Congratulations, IA. He will be our 2nd player from Group D, advancing to Toronto. IA, when you played against Harstem and you lost against him, you looked visibly very upset. And yet, when your first game against Xenocider, you were able to stay calm and composed, and you looked very strong despite that. How are you able to mentally prepare yourself after a tough loss?
I'm upset because I think I shouldn't have lost the second game against the Harstem. I think I have a big advantage. Then I lost, so I'm upset. Then next I will play against Xenocider. I have beat him 2-0, so I think I can do it. So I calm down and play. I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Well, you just said it. You beat Xenocider 2-0 when you first played against him, but this time it was a little bit more difficult. In Game 2, you actually lost despite having winning that first game in the series. So did that make you nervous going into Game 3 at all?
I lost my second game because I see he goes 61st. He made a change, so I think he will go to a 2-base all in maybe. So I then he didn't do it. So that's a mistake. I do something wrong. Thank you.
All right. Well, Game 3 obviously worked out in your favor, and you will be going to Toronto. Last season, we saw Jigua and Maxed representing China, but this time you are the only representative from China. This must mean a lot for you because of that.
I always dream about playing a big stage, especially in a foreign country. So I got the opportunity. I really appreciate that. And I'm the only Chinese player now, and I will do my best to represent of my country. Thank you.
Well, last but not least, IA, when I spoke to you earlier on in the day, you talked about how modesty is the culture of China, but you should be so proud of yourself. You've made it to the top 16 in WCS for the first time ever. Do you have any words to the fans out there?
I really enjoy playing a stage and play StarCraft II. I hope you can enjoy my game. Thank you.
All right, well, congratulations again, IA, and that will solidify our second player to make it out of Group D. He will join Harstem in Toronto. Let's hear what the casters have to say.
Oh, what a great interview.
Yeah, he's really cute, and he's quite humble, and just seems like a great guy.
Yeah, he's really, really smart, too. And great English, great build order choices, great mind games, great everything that he took into account studying. And, you know, what he said was basically what you were talking about for Game 2, where he expected possibly this attack, overmade Lings, and then the attack never came.
Yeah, he kind of paid the price and didn't have that economy that he really wanted going into that mid-game.
Yeah, it's been an awesome day of StarCraft action here at the World Championship Series. We've wrapped up Group D. For anybody that missed it, we had IA play Xenocider in the first match of the day. He was able to take a pretty swift 2-0 there, where he would end up facing Harstem, who defeated NXZ in a pretty quick fashion. And of course, we saw Harstem make it out in first place in the lower bracket struggle. Xenocider took a pretty quick 2-0 against NXZ as well, the newcomer to the World Championship Series. And then in the rematch, we saw iAsonu close it out in stellar fashion.
Yep. And this isn't the last you've seen of NXZ or Xeno. They're both quite young. Yeah. And for sure you'll see them again. Hopefully they'll qualify again for Premier. And
I'm expecting it. You know, when we get players at this level competing, it's really good. You know, the results that we've had, and especially players like NXZ, who we really haven't seen at all before. But that's it for us. We're going to go over to Sue for the final thoughts.
Thank you very much, Nathanius, Huck. It has been a crazy 2 weeks full of StarCraft II action, but we finally have 8 players moving on to the top 16 in the Toronto finals. What have you thought of all the action you've seen so far?
Bittersweet today. Harstem playing really, really well. I'm really impressed with him. Obviously, my teammate, Xenocider, especially all the sacrifices he made and then losing at the end. I mean, congrats to IA. He was the better player. He deserves to go on, but definitely feel for Xenocider right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you in that sentiment. But Xenocider put up a really strong fight, and I agree with Kane and Nathanius. I do believe we will be seeing him in future seasons of WCS, and I'm very much looking forward to that. Let's take a look at all the round of 32 groups and just see what's happened so far. We have 8 players, as I mentioned, that will be in the top 16 already in place. So out of the players that you see that will be in Toronto, Hook, what do you think?
I mean, Bunny, 4GG, the two players that stand out the most, they're both insanely strong, and then maybe like Tier 2 Marine Lord, Hearthstone Brett. I don't know, like all the players here could beat everybody else that's already qualified, so it's a really close pool. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out of Cologne, but as is, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a heck of an event already.
Yeah, and speaking of which, the groups in Cologne, it'll be the last 4 groups taking place over there in Europe. We'll see players such as Snoot, Jaedong, Pult. These big names will be playing over there. Are there any particular players that you're looking forward to seeing play?
The ones you named, plus I would say, I guess, Hydra. Altogether, I mean, those are some heavy hitters. We had first, second, and then other top players like, of course, Snoot, who's probably one of the best foreigners, if not the best. So it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and of course, these guys are fighting to make it to the Toronto Season 2 Finals, and if you guys missed it, those tickets are on sale, so please make sure to check that out and get those tickets under your belt because you don't want to miss it. It is going to be absolutely amazing, and this guy will be there as well. And he and Kane have said time and time again, signing anything.
Yeah, initialing, signing, whatever.
Yeah, so after a long 2 weeks here, this will be it for all the action that's taking place in Burbank, California. Huck, this was your first foray into casting. What was it like for you?
Easy peasy, fun, lemon squeezy, Fabrizi. I don't know, it was great. I had a lot of fun. The crowd here has been great. You've been a wonderful host. The staff is wonderful. And more than anything, the games have been spectacular. I really had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys will join us in Toronto for some more games.
Yeah, and also a big shout out to our sponsor, G1 Gaming, for all their help. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back next week over in Cologne, Germany with Group E. That'll be May 28th, and it will begin at 1800 CEST. So make sure to tune in then. And until then, from everyone here in Burbank, California, have a great night.
One game away from the crowd.